story about communication of things that are so small you can't see them without an ordinary microscope. They're called bacteria. And in fact, that bacteria communicate. So here's a short story, a little vignette at the very end, about a form of communication. So you know, we've looked at already a peacock and other animals. They live in the forest. And if you look up close, you see the bark on the tree, and you might see little insects. Bacteria are so small, you need microscopes to see them, and they live on the surfaces and inside everything. Bacteria live inside you. When you get sick, it's often because of bacteria, but bacteria inside you also keep you healthy. So bacteria are so small, they're everywhere, and these are kind of microscope views of the small bacteria that live inside animals, in tree bark, on the antennae of ants. The small bacteria are everywhere. Bacteria exist, for example, in you. You brush your teeth to get rid of them, but if you took one bristle of your toothbrush and looked at it up close, you'd see gunk on it. This gunk is both bacterial cells and, if you like, the excrement of them, what they have along with them. And if you look at your teeth, the dental plaque of your teeth is filled with bacteria and the stuff they produce. In fact, in your mouth are 600 different species of bacteria that are present in huge numbers. Okay, so if you think that's bad, I'm now going to tell you a short story about the lives of bacteria that live inside a squid. The squid is important because it helps the bacteria live. And what I'm going to show, what we're going to show is that there's a form of communication that the bacteria help the squid live. All right, and here's the squid. It's about the size of her hand. It's a very cute little thing. And this is what it does during the day. It plays during the day, a lot like our children. And at some point it decides it needs to sleep during the day. And when it does that, it's going to go find some sand and rock and go to sleep. But during the day it doesn't want to move. So at some point it says, okay, it's daytime. And it thinks to itself, oh, I have to go hide because there are predators that want to eat me during the day. And I have a way of hiding. So here's how it hides. Now it spends its day sleeping, and it's very hard for anyone to find it. And at night, what it has to do is come out of hiding so it can eat. But it has a small problem at night. And the small problem is it lives in shallow water, and moonlight passes through the water, and that means predators underneath the Mr. and Mrs. Squid can see them. And so the squid needs a mechanism for hiding from predators when it's feeding. So how does it hide from predators? Does anyone know? There's a hand in back. Yeah. It shoots a cloud of ink. Some squid might shoot a cloud of ink. This squid does something else. There's an orange shirt all in the back. Yeah, the bacteria help them camouflage themselves in an interesting way. If you're black on a bright background, you want to make yourself bright, and then you can hide. So I tried to show this idea on the side. Here's the same words we just had, but they're much brighter, so you don't see them against the background. So what the squid has to do is try and produce light, and it uses bacteria to produce the light. And so the last 2 minutes is just, how do bacteria possibly know to do this? And this is a story of biology that's remarkable. And the idea is that when the squid goes to sleep in the morning, it gets rid of all its bacteria. And if there are only a couple bacteria inside it, the bacteria don't know anything, and so they can't produce, they don't do anything. But during the course of the day, when the squid is sleeping, the number of bacteria multiply and multiply and become very large. And if there's a large enough number of bacteria, they produce light. That's called bioluminescence. And the communication signal that biologists have discovered is chemistry. it turns out the bacteria produce a small amount of a chemical. And if there's only a small amount of it present, it says, I don't have many neighbors. But over the course of the day, there are a lot more bacteria, so there are a lot more chemicals around, so they do a lot more counting, and they say, now I have a lot of friends. When they have a lot of friends, they say, now I produce life. And so it's this mechanism of bacterial communication that's at the origin of life production that allows Mr. and Mrs. Squid to live happily in the water. So our short form of communication that we spent the last hour telling you about started with sound, the idea of vibrations, and the idea of waves. But there are many different forms of communication that take place, both for us and our cell phones and our computers and animals. So with that, I'm going to bring this to a close. I just want to make a few parting announcements. The idea for this kind of lecture started with Michael Faraday in the 19th century, and we kind of borrowed some of his ideas. Each of you received a ticket when you came in. We're going to write on the blackboard a set of numbers. There are door prizes for those of you if your number matches your ticket. I just have to thank a couple people, the incomparable Daniel Rosenberg.